in Orlando, ready to defend their crown against teams like Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. A disappointing end to their season, but one of the favorites once again this year. As we welcome you to an NBA Sunday. Paul George just signing that massive extension. He's ready to get back on the court and right the ship after that rough finish. Meanwhile, one of the former Clippers, Montrezl Harrell, is now a member of the Lakers via free agency, as both teams have made some drastic changes. And good evening, everyone. Along with Mark Jackson, Mike Green on hand, Rachel Nichols, our reporter, and we are thrilled to be back with NBA basketball again, once again on ESPN, in a season that has unique challenges like a 72-game season, and certainly with no fans in attendance for most of the arenas. We'll even have some unique challenges as well, broadcasting some of the games from our home, including tonight. Mark's in Los Angeles, and I'm in New York. And Mark, those challenges, an interesting way to start the season. What are your thoughts as we get ready for another year?
Awfully tough when you think about the shortest gap between seasons in the history of professional sports. The bounce back ability of the Lakers will be interesting to take a look at it after winning a championship. The short break. The pressure to me will be on the other teams. You got some teams that almost haven't played in a year. How will they respond? It will tell the tale of who wins it and who has a successful season.
Well, we expect the Lakers to respond in a big way because they have two of the best players in all of basketball. LeBron James, the NBA Finals MVP. Fourth time he's won that, his fourth ring. And now he has his new teammate who also just re-signed up. Huge contract. The two of them were magnificent throughout the season and certainly during the playoffs as well. But the Lakers did not stand pat. They made a lot of key additions. 4 different players, Mark, are going to play prominent roles for this team. What are your thoughts on the acquisitions?
They won a championship and they didn't sit on a lead. They enhanced their bench and their depth. You're talking about 4 proven guys in Schroeder, Matthews, Harrell, and Gasol. The ability to make plays, and all those guys are going to have an impact. But to me, the one guy is Schroeder. They needed a guy that can play out a pick and roll, push the basketball, create offense. And Frank Vogel raves about his ability to get downhill. Much needed scoring punch that they added on this lineup. It's going to be a heck of an impact he's going to have on this team.
They lost a number of players that played key roles, but again, added depth to that roster with some of those acquisitions. Clippers, same thing. They have their dynamic duo back once again with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, two of the best players in the game. Both had some very good seasons. Leonard was brilliant. George was up and down, especially in the playoffs, but they did not stand pat as well. As we mentioned, they have let Montrezl Harrell go via free agency. They changed coaches, fired Doc Rivers. Tyronn Lue, the former assistant, is now the head coach of the team, and they had some new acquisitions, Mark, including Serge Ibaka, who might be a huge piece for this team.
Well, this is a team that has championship aspirations just like last year, and Serge Ibaka is a key piece. Talking to Ty Lue, he raved about his ability to defend, protect the rim, just like other guys did in the past. But what he brings with that size and length is ability to stretch to the three-point line. So a whole new weapon that the Clippers have not had in the past when you're referring to their bigs.
Well, they also got Nick Batum and Luke Kennard, so some important acquisitions for them. Well, as we said, Mark and I were at home, but Rachel Nichols, she is actually at the Staples Center, and we welcome her in for the first time tonight. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Mike, as you can see, we're still a long way from normal here in Los Angeles. I'm at my new spot here in the arena, surrounded by empty seats. And because we are coming off the shortest offseason in league history, the Lakers are being really careful with how they manage LeBron James and Anthony Davis, bringing them along slowly in training camp. They have yet to play this preseason, and you will not see them on the court tonight. Still, let's not kid ourselves. In uniform or not, these two are always the focal point of this Lakers team. The organization proved that earlier this month by rewarding each of them with big dollar long-term contracts. The deals lock them together until at least 2023, setting the table for a potential run of titles here in Lakerland. Although LeBron has already been warning his teammates, the bullseye on their backs, he said, has only gotten bigger now.
Keith Morris, Kyle Kuzma, and the newcomer Marc Gasol. Meanwhile, that Clippers starting lineup, probably 4 of those 5 will be in. Nick Batum probably will not start. Marcus Morris expected in that particular, but Morris dealing with some knee issues. So there's one of the new Lakers, and what an excellent pickup. Marc Gasol's got a real chance to start with no Dwight Howard, no JaVale McGee, and he's just such a smart basketball player.
And to me, if I was coaching, Frank Vogel's going to make the right decision. He's a championship coach, but Marc Gasol would be the starting center. Not that he's better than Harold, but his ability at an older age to get the juices flowing early on. Harold's a guy that is sixth man of the year, no pressure coming in off that bench, but Gasol's ability to read and react on the defensive end, so skilled with the basketball offensively, just an added weapon that the Lakers added.
He did not play on Friday night in the first preseason game, so gets his first chance in the purple and gold here tonight. In fact, in that first game, Frank Vogel only played 9 players, where it was just the opposite for Tyronn Lue, as they played 18 players in that first preseason game. Coaches have different agendas. Players, Mark, also different agendas in terms of what they want to accomplish in the preseason.
And one team's coming off of winning a championship with a short offseason and 2 superstars in James and their ability to rest with Anthony Davis. So with Tyronn Lue, he's trying to find out what he has in those 18 guys. Who can he trust, and developing relationships and trust all throughout that lineup.
There's some issue right now on the floor, so a little bit of a delay. So not only are the coaches and the players and us broadcasters working out the kinks, obviously doing the arenas as well, and that's still going to be one of the just, it's such a bizarre aspect not to have the fans. The bubble was one thing, because the way the NBA set that up was just extraordinary. But now you're in these huge arenas with no fans at all. Now there's probably going to be 4 or 5 arenas, at least right now to start the season, that will have some form of fans. Don't know the exact number yet. But it's going to be very bizarre for the players, Mark. Is this more difficult, do you think, in terms of having a huge arena with no fans, or the bubble?
No, it's more difficult. The bubble was, nice, tight, and homely. This is huge arenas all throughout this country where you're playing in empty gyms. But the advantage, I will say, is whether it's the park, whether it's a rec center, no matter where it is, you're used to going in, and it's still basketball. So the pressure is, it's still the game that you love, the game you come accustomed to watching and dreaming playing, is just now in an empty arena. So the great ones find a way to get it done.
We see one of the other new things. You saw Frank Vogel there in the sweatsuit. They've also changed the attire for the coaches, at least for this year. Casual dress. You don't have to wear a suit and tie. We were teasing with Frank Vogel before the game. Said to him, well, do you like that? And he said, I'm pro suit. I want to wear my suits here. Again, with the pandemic still going on and all the various things that the players and coaches have to deal with. It's the usual, like we saw in the bubble, constant testing, constant monitoring. There obviously are some differences, but it's going to be a challenge once again for the players and the league to maintain safety. The good news, as you see, the shot clock has been the problem last couple of minutes, but it appears they're on the verge of finding the problem. How about, Mark, that first round of tests when training camps opened, there were 48 positive tests. The second round, the second week, there were only 8. So at least an encouraging start in terms of getting better as we've gone on.
And it says a lot about the way the guys and people all around this league are taking this thing serious, because it can turn really quickly with the bonehead mistake of one individual that occurs. So give this league a lot of credit for the way that they're handling this situation and taking it very, very seriously.
Yeah, the players really responsible at home and on the road. Not like the bubble. You really didn't have a choice. You had to comply. So we're underway.